If you're looking to make your Tesla into an Esla, we have a video just for you. Let's get right into it. So on the 2026 Model Y Juniper, it has a badging, and this is one of the least badged Tesla. So on the Cybertruck, 0 Tesla as far as the exterior goes, right? And for this one, there isn't really a badge in the front at all. It doesn't say Tesla, the logo, but this is a word mark. It says Tesla all the way across the rear diffuser light right here. So a lot of people have asked us, how do you remove this? So I already removed the T, as you can see right here, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And first of all, I want to show you, this is what the T looks like. Surprisingly, it's actually metal. It is not plastic. So I have a metal wrap stick right here. Look at this. It just sticks right like that because it's metal. Really cool. So all it is, this is actually the back side of me after removal. It's just an adhesive tape. It is very, very thin. I mean, you're talking very, very thin. Adhesive plate right here. And typically, I do recommend people to use heat gun because what heat does for adhesives, it does loosen it up a little bit. I recommend using a wrap sticks tool, something like this, right? So this is really nice because it has a really shallow angle like here, and you can really get underneath it without damaging. I'm not as concerned as damaging this as much as I would be in the paint. For example, on the Model 3, it was actually in the paint. It's very hard to do without damaging, I think. I mean, you can, but it's very, you have to be careful around that, right? So I have my heat gun here. I'll show you how this works. So basically, you want to heat it up just a little bit on high heat. This is a standard heat gun. Getting hot. All right, you're just gonna gummy it up just a little bit. You want to keep the heat gun moving. Okay, that's pretty much it. And then basically, you get underneath it using the wrap stick. You can already see that it's already moving. It's actually kind of moving around and loosening up right away. And then you just kind of leverage it a little bit. Just like that. I mean, that was really easy. The heat also makes it so that residue comes a lot cleaner. So that's why I like using heat compared to just not using heat at all. I mean, you could technically remove it without using any heat, but it does leave a residue. And then try to go away from it. And try not to leverage it because although this is highly unlikely that it'll damage, you can see it actually cut through some of this plastic trim tool, right? There you go. And I'll show you how to clean it too. So basically, we're just gonna go through the whole thing. Now it's a Isla or slash. So one thing about this is you really don't want to use a lot of heat for long periods of time because you are dealing with plastic. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and loosen up the whole thing. So I'm going to do it real fast. Take your time though. Don't hurry up. I'm used to doing this, so I think I can go fast. But the big thing is, guys, don't leave your heat gun in one area, okay? It's not good. No bueno. And then A. And if you're wondering, we already sized this up. We already scanned this part of the vehicle, and we already have the exact measurements of where it goes. So we feel that's why it took us a little time to actually remove this. Because before we remove it, we want to make sure we get all the measurements, right? One other thing is this is not straight. It looks straight once attached, but when you're actually installing it, it is not straight. So it's kind of crazy. So you just kind of get underneath it. Just gonna leverage this a little bit.
Looks like it's gonna break.
This one's a little tricky because it's S. But I mean, came out fine. A little bent, but I mean it's metal. Like you can get it back. All right, L's are a little easier. Of course, I say that and then it becomes hard. Every time I say that, I jinx myself. No, it's pretty easy. All There we go. And then finally, the A. I'm just going to do the top part. That's a 2-piece. Now it's a A. You got an A. Okay, after this, I'm definitely not going to be using my wrap. I'm just going to throw this away. Or you could sand it, but I mean, we have so many of these that I don't think it'll be an issue. But if you don't have this, honestly, you could use like, household items, what can you use? What can you use? We do give the pink squeegees, it's called a little chiseler. You can use that actually, it works pretty well. Honestly, credit card is too thick. What can we use to get really under there? I'm not really sure. If you have something like a filer, maybe.
Like a nail filer?
Maybe, but you don't want anything metal because you can obviously damage it. I just want to be careful recommending stuff.
Could you still use like fishing line?
Fishing line is going to be really hard because fishing lines are really good for like T emblems and stuff like that. But the reason why it's so difficult with fishing line is it's so thin, right? This is such a thin word mark right here that goes across here that it's so hard to get underneath it. That's kind of why I recommend a tool like this instead of using, see if I could. Sorry, I'm blocking the camera. Great. All right, so all of them are off. Of course, I have some adhesive still on there. And just for the record, it's very, very similar to the, I'm not sure if it's exactly the same, but it's very similar to the center console material.
This material?
Yeah. Honestly, sometimes it just helps to just use your fingers. But it does have like in your nails. You could use glue gun and stuff like that, but honestly, it's a little bit more annoying because it's hard to get some of that residue off later. So sometimes I refrain from using glue gun because I think literally on the instructions, like for glue gun, how do you get rid of glue gun? Use more glue gun. Like that's what they tell you actually. So it does work though, if that's your last resort. But you can see I'm just using a little bit of like a quick detailer. This is our waterless wash, and it works so well in terms of getting this. And this is essentially a lubricant, so you can kind of glide it. I'm using a decent amount of force. I'm not really sure exactly how much pounds, but I'm definitely pushing in. Honestly, everything removed, like look at that. Everything removed really good except this one right here. This was the ass, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So, for the most part, clean, except this one. But I'm gonna get rid of it.
It is nice that you're not worried about scratching the paint, though.
You can still scratch it, but it is a plastic. Just be careful still. But yeah, it's definitely easier than when it was on the paint. Just make sure you're using different parts of the microfiber. One of the things about this is it does create residue as it. Okay. So I feel like it's almost gone. Personally, just looking back at it, I would probably use a little bit more heat. And if you notice, I just heated all three of them. I probably just do one at a time because what happens is it'll go back to the room temp. You do want to probably put it about 15-20 seconds, keep it moving around, and then just do one at a time because typically if you do the heating better, it will actually remove the residue a lot cleaner, right? So I kind of try to hurry it up a little bit too much maybe, perhaps, but it's okay. It just means you'll have to do this part a little bit more. using my nails a little bit. And for the most part, I think that's just residue. I don't know how to get rid of that, but it's like a speaker. If you look like real close like here, it feels like a speaker, like all this small little tiny holes inside. So I mean, you can kind of hear that a little bit. So this will take some time, but I'm going to finish up. For the most part, it's clean. I think I got most of all the residue out. So yeah, I got a little bit here. Yep, it's coming off, so that's good. It's a good sign. Sweet. So that's pretty much how you remove the Tesla logo on the 2026. It's really easy. If you were to reinstall this, you could actually reuse this. For example, let's say you wrap it. Typically, it's so thin that I would recommend using like a vinyl version of it. I think it looks cleaner, but this does look pretty good. This is a very much like a matte finish, right? Compared to, sometimes it's more like chrome, right? So I'm really glad that they went with black at least, right? But if you did want to reuse it, you do want to clean the old adhesive with like a razor blade, and then basically use like a 3M Emblem. And there's a thinner version. We can, I guess, put in the description of what I use, but it's a 3M tape. Basically, you put it on, and then you peel it off, and it'll transfer the adhesive into the whatever you put pressure on, and then you take it off, and then you can put it on, right? So we already made the guides for this, so we know exactly where it goes. Like I said, it doesn't really go straight because this is not a straight look, okay? It's actually more like a little U-shaped when it actually installs. So that's just something to keep in mind. But very, very easy. You would need a little bit of heat, a little bit of elbow grease, a little bit of patience, and you should be good. And you can remove the Tesla word mark right here in the back. We are going to do another video about actually wrapping it. So if you're wondering, can I PPF that area? I don't really know why you would, but you can't really PPF it. Doesn't stick very well. But vinyl, I think you can. So that's what we're going to be doing. So we'll see you later. Click on that subscribe button. Peace out.